So get up. Top of the morning to ya.
Now, back to Sunrise on News Radio 880 KCMX.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. 33 minutes after the hour. Welcome to the Sunrise Show. Craig Froelich in as your host, and thrilled to have on the phone this morning Dr. Mark Christian, and he's the founder of the Global Faith Institute, based out of Nebraska, globalfaithinstitute.org. And fascinating story that Dr. Mark has personally, as he was raised in Egypt, up through the Muslim Brotherhood, and to be a mom, and he was there all the way, and then got into medicine, and he's an OBGYN doctor, and came to America and is a born-again Christian. And Mark, it's always great to have you on the program, because you know what's going through the minds of Muslims around the world and these Muslim groups. And then, of course, you take it into the jihadist and the terrorism that goes on, and it's a global fight. And Americans need to wake up. They really need to hear the truth, don't they?
Well, Craig, thank you very much for having me today, and it's an honor to be on your show. God prepared me in a unique way by working in the military as a physician for a number of years before moving to the United States, and also through my family connections to the leadership and the political leaders in Egypt and the Middle East altogether, and also the unique exposure to the Muslim Brotherhood, because my family is a big Muslim Brotherhood family. My great-grand uncle was one of the founder of the organization, and also my dad and my uncle that I grew up very close to. Both of them.
Fascinating things. I mean, this is how fascinating the story of yours is that you had that ability to work in this, and because you were so selected, and then you had your experience medically. You were in the leading military hospital there in Egypt, and so you were involved with that, also with all of the leaders of the country, along with the military, the Egyptian military, in addition to being an imam at a young age. So all of these pieces come together, and now what an incredible resource, and I'm so appreciative of your time. As the rest of the world views this, it's almost this issue of, what is it really? And Americans have a hard time with this because they think it's a religion. And you have said time and time again, Islam, it's a political agenda.
I teach classes about Islam. There are 10 sessions in multiple churches and different groups and synagogues and so forth. And to understand what Islam is, it's going to be very long to explain that it is more of a political movement than a religion. Islam started as a political movement that used religion as a way to establish its goals. And you have 75% to 80% of the whole religion as a political movement, and only 20% is religion. And to be honest with you, the religion part is not a big problem. We live in America, and everybody has the right to practice whatever they want to do over here. And I appreciate the Constitution, the Bill of Rights so much, that is giving safe haven to many people, across the globe, to come over here and live freely and practice their own religion. The political part is the problem that is facing America. The political part of Islam, which is a big portion of Islam, is what America is facing as a problem, and also the rest of the world. And since its inception, it has cost millions and millions of people's lives because of that political agenda.
It's amazing, and you're exactly right. Dr. Mark Christian is, of course, the executive director and founder of the Global Faith Institute, and right now he mentioned the 10-week class is going on right now there in, is it Lincoln?
Right now, actually, I'm going through those classes at a big church over here in Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay. And then coming up in March is Israel in the Heartland, March 19th. Getting ready for that must be...
That's a very unique event, to be honest with you, because, I mentioned the military in Egypt and my dad and so forth, and I grew up, my dad fought against Israel in 1967 and 1973, grew up as every, person in the Middle East, whether they are Christians or Muslims, hating Israel and defying, Jews as the worst of the worst. But I have a huge, big change of my heart myself, and I started really learning the truth and understanding who are the Jews and stuff like that, and I became a very big and huge supporter to Israel. So can you imagine, Greg, that in Nebraska they never had an open event to celebrate Israel before, and it is me who, coming after all those years as an ex-Muslim, ex-Egyptian coming to the United States and living in Nebraska, the first pro-Israel and for the love of Israel in the Middle East and in Nebraska, to be the first one to do that, it's just unique by itself.
It really is. And like I said, you're cutting new ground, and I think it's just that I've had a mantra for a long time. It's educate, 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 and this is exactly what you're doing. People pick up bits and pieces, more and more, and it's just so essential. And especially with the spin that you get from around the world and the federal government. And I understand that it's so complicated. People have to kind of...
it's complicated for us over here or for the Westerns because there is different agenda and everybody has his own ideas about doing things. I'm in direct contact with Muslims on a regular basis, on a daily basis, through social media and other outlets, talking to Muslims on a regular basis, and it's not a problem. I tell them the way it is, and they answer back, by their own some anger and stuff like that. But I always represent Jesus Christ, and I always try to be. When they insult me, I don't get insulted. I don't get responses insulting to them as well. I just try to represent who Jesus is and try to present the truth and ask them the hard questions. I tell them, how can you believe in a prophet that was riding a horse with wings to go to God? Do you? How do you believe that Muhammad was marrying a 6-year-old kid when he was 54 years old? There is no confusion to them. You ask those questions, and they get upset and angry and mad that I'm saying this about Muhammad, the prophet. But I tell them, forget about me. I'm asking you those questions. You answer it for yourself. Don't have to take my answer for it. I'm honest. They are honest. We are open dialogue. Over here in America, we are...
Hold on, Mark. We got to get to a break. Agenda. We'll be right back on the Sunrise Show.
Now, back to Sunrise on News Radio 880 KCMX.
Shout, 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 I'm talking to you, so come on. Shout!
Good morning, everybody. 47 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to the Sunrise Show. Continuing with Dr. Mark Christian from the Global Faith Institute. I encourage everyone to check out his website, globalfaithinstitute.org. There are books there that talk about and describe the whole entire question and answer related to Islam and Muslims and those type of things. And currently, right now, Dr. Mark Christian is going through a complete 10-week course on understanding Islam, and then in March, on the 19th, Israel in the Heartland, and that'll be, I'm sure, an entire day of great discussions and things like that. And Mark,
we are hosting the president of ZOA, Zionists of America organization. The president, Morton Klein, is coming to speak. We have 2 Holocaust survivors going to come and speak. We're going to make it a day for loving Israel and raising awareness in the Midwest, especially Nebraska, about Israel and the threats it faces nowadays.
It's interesting. The Holocaust Day just went last week. I think it was Tuesday, and the liberation of Germany there in the concentration camps. Yeah, by the Auschwitz Day by the Red Army, the Russian Red Army, and you're thinking, it was brought up to me, in fact, I don't know where I heard it, but that Britain did not want to tangle with Adolf Hitler. They thought he was a lunatic and that it was just a silly thing. And Winston Churchill was the one that stood up and said, no, this is a real deal. We need to be careful. And he spent how many years trying to go through and systematically talk to people, and really people didn't listen. In fact, I heard where he got down to where only 4 of the parliament members were behind him, and then Adolf Hitler and the Third Reich started its power, and that's when everyone got their attention. And you're thinking, could that be happening all over again as we're not paying attention until it's almost too late?
And this is the biggest problem, that we sometimes we have to have our hand in a very hot water to understand it's hard, but going through it very easily, it is just very hard. Yes, I understand and totally I believe, what you just said. And with regarding to Islam becomes the biggest threat to humanity, the way that we live it nowadays, because, as we mentioned earlier in the program, it is not a religion, it is a political movement. And when you have a political movement with that massive power and fighters that are willing to lose their life no matter what and behead people on front of TV, and they have unlimited resources of money coming to them from different nations. Just today, they found out there is a ring of smugglers and money laundering going on in Spain that is getting money from Europe all over across Europe and sending money to ISIS. They just, found this out in Spain today as well. So you're talking about people who are very well funded, like ISIS and other Islamists, and the infiltration of great nations like America and Europe, and the number of Muslims who are willing to take the fight of political Islam on their shoulders and die for it. This is the biggest threat to humanity nowadays.
Exactly, because they are going to do, they're so committed that they're willing to die for something, and you think about that just for a moment. What would you do in your life that you knowingly would cost your life that you would do? And you think, that is an amazing commitment.
This is what Osama bin Laden said back in 1994. He said, the Western America love life so much, but we love death. This is what he said, and he didn't mean that he wants to die. He's referring to the promises of heaven that he will get when he dies for the cause of Islam. They love death because it's going to be a better place for them. This is what they believe, and it's far from true, because it's, if you understand the history, this is why, education is a key. You have to understand where are those things are coming from and why they evolved the way they are and what are those promises are based on and all that kind of stuff. It's very, very important to educate yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, I think it's fantastic what you're doing, Mark, with the Global Faith Institute. I would encourage everyone listening to go to the globalfaithinstitute.org and check that out. It's so much information, Mark, and the books you've written are on there, and you can support them.
We have to keep in mind that Muslims are the first victims of Islam. This I always say and always repeat, because Muslims die. Like just last week in Egypt, 54 people died in Egypt. All of them are Muslims, died by the sword of Islam. So Muslims are the first victims of Islam. I continue praying for them, and their only hope is in Jesus Christ.
Well, exactly, and I'm always reminded by the 14-year-old, she's 16 or 17 now, but Malala, and from from Pakistan.
From Pakistan, yes.
Exactly, and all she wanted to do is get an education, and the Muslims were going, and they literally sent out a hit squad, and the assassin came onto her.
This is what organization Boko Haram is all about. Boko Haram is against Western education. And and the slaughter of the kids in Pakistan, over a month ago, it is the same idea. Western education is the biggest threat to Islam because it makes people think, and when they think, they find out that they're believing in baloney. And this is why it is the biggest threat.
Exactly. They just simply can't be led around by the nose ring anymore. Well, Mark, we're just about out of time. It's so fascinating because of everything that's going on around the world, and then you wonder, okay, how the federal government in America is playing into it. And it's almost to the point where you want to jump up and down and say, America, America, wake up. But I think we are. I think that Americans are getting more educated, and they're learning bit by bit, but it's tough.
I don't know. Yeah, we still have ways to go.
I know.
Thank you for having me, and have a great day, you and all your listeners.
Well, exactly right. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Mark Christian, the founder of the Global Faith Institute, his website, globalfaithinstitute.org. Check it out, and we'll have you on real soon, Mark. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Have a great week and stay safe out there.
You too. Thank you.
All right. We'll be back. More on the Sunrise Show. The Bloomberg Market Update is next. Oh, we're going to be talking about the Oregon legislature and Governor John Kitzhaber. What's going on with Sylvia up there? Anyway, back after this.